Can you elaborate more on what you mean by that? The small cases actually sometimes have a greater impact on you.
Well, for instance, let's say an immigration client. Their case isn't necessarily a big case, but you may help them reunite their family. And this is not a case that a lawyer would charge a lot of money for, or that the client is going to make any money from, but their family is reunited. You know, I've had cases where I've gone to immigration and I just kind of had this feeling we can't help this person. Immigration is going to find something wrong, but then it worked out well. And you just feel so proud that here is somebody now, something very meaningful has happened in their life. Perhaps they got a green card. Perhaps they were able to bring over a relative. So these are where I kind of feel the impact more than even some of the larger cases. Mm-hmm. So, you know, as I said, if you look at it, this is like your mother or your father or your son or your daughter. And you don't always get big things for them. Sometimes it's just what happens day to day that is a small thing, but it's the more powerful impact.
And I'm also wondering, how do you represent a client that you know is guilty?
Someone who is guilty, first off, we don't know they're guilty until they've had a trial. So it's very important that they get a fair trial. So I respect very much the criminal law, what we call the criminal law bar, the attorneys that practice criminal law, because they are taking on a commitment to really uphold the Constitution and make sure that a client gets a fair trial, that they are protecting the society as a whole as well, because the purpose of the Constitution is to protect individual citizens from overreaching government action. And we need to make sure that at all points government is kept in check, that it does not do what it is not supposed to do. And without a vigorous, active criminal law bar, you wouldn't have that. You wouldn't know that there are cases where the government does wrong. And we have a saying that is very meaningful to me, that, you know, I'd rather a dozen guilty persons go free than one innocent person be imprisoned. And the only way you have that is when you have a criminal defense bar that does protect society as a whole from overreaching by the government, from wrongful activities by the government. Then you know the system is working, that somebody gets a fair trial. This is very important.
Wrongful activity by the government, do you mean that the American judicial system actually is not perfect? Is that what you're trying to say?
First, it's not perfect. That's very true. It's always a work in process. So the judicial system needs work. But different from that is the government. If you go back to the founding fathers, they came to the U.S. for a reason. They didn't want to be persecuted. They didn't want a government that was going to treat them, not give them their, you know, liberties and freedoms that they felt that all individuals were entitled to. So we don't want the government getting overreaching. We don't want them violating constitutional principles. So that's one thing. Now the judicial system.
Okay, the judicial system, I need you to hold it because we need to take a commercial break.
Okay.
And after a commercial break, you can elaborate more on that part.
Okay.
我们现在要进一下广告，广告回来之后呢，我们会请华明胜律师跟我们多多谈他这个法律界的一些看法。那么广告后见。